They rob you blind and you thank them for it. That's a tragedy. That's a scam. That's why I'm saying this right now. Americans, you don't need a tariff. You need a revolution. For decades, your government and oligarchs only ship your job to China, not for diplomacy, not for peace, but to exploit cheap laborers. And in the process, they hollowed out your middle class, crushed your working class, and taught you to be proud while they sold your future for profit. And yes, China made money, but we used it to build roads, lift millions out of poverty, fund healthcare, raise living standard. We reinvested in our people. My family also benefited from it. What did your oligarchs do? They bought yachts, private jets, mansions with golf course driveways. They manipulated the market, dodged tax, and poured billions into endless wars. And you get stagnated wages, crippling healthcare costs, cheap dopamine, debt. This isn't China's fault. This is yours. You let this happen. You let the oligarchs feed you lies while they made you fat, poor, and addicted. Now they blame China for mess they made. I don't think so. I don't think you need another tariff. You need to wake up. You need to take your country back. I think you need a revolution.
I would tell him I basically agree with him. I think he's correct. And I think, by the way, that this is a message in large part that Trump made as a candidate before the 2016, 2020, and the 2024 election. And it's what helped get him elected in two of those three cases. I think there are a huge number of people in this country who feel exactly the way that Chinese gentleman feels about what has happened. I would note to you, on a subject that you and I disagree on, which is whether China can rise peacefully. I argued for a long time that China could not rise peacefully. And I was always very perplexed that all sorts of very hawkish people in the national security establishment disagreed with me. And they argued that China could actually rise peacefully. I remember when I had a debate with Zbigniew Brzezinski in the early 2000s on this issue. I remember I was sitting up on the dais and I said to myself, why am I arguing that China cannot rise peacefully? And Zbig, who's about 5 to 10 notches to the right of me, is arguing that China can rise peacefully. And the fact is that almost all of the national security elites in this country were making huge amounts of money consulting in China. And they had a deep-seated interest in having very good relations with the Chinese. And hardly any of them were willing to say that if we turn China into a really powerful country, there could be serious problems.
I found very attractive what the young man said. And I wish that Donald Trump would listen to it. I don't know what the neocons around him would say. I really don't think that the tariffs were well thought out. I think they were a product of his, at times, pugnacious personality rather than a deep-seated understanding of economics.
妈妈是我的心肝宝贝，她值得最好的。想帮助提升行动力，养颜美容水嫩透亮，我为妈妈选择石纪岩德国胶原蛋白生态。知道妈妈总舍不得买给自己，我来买。希望妈妈轻松有活力又美丽加霸气。现在就上快点购母亲节石纪岩德国胶原蛋白生态宠爱妈妈超值专区，享各项女神好礼，最高双重送，25000加送520元购物金。透过中天新网 App 下单或输入 CTI 推荐码，每单再减50元。